This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Another fine morning out here in the African bush here on Djuma Game Reserve. Here we have this wildebeest that's just enjoying the fact that the sun is out. The grass has little droplets on it, so it's also getting some moisture. Isn't that just amazing? I hope that you're excited, because I certainly am, to watch all these antelope and to go down to the den. So jump on board, everybody, for your live safari through the African bush. Gorgeous scenery out here in quarantine. I love starting the morning out in quarantine because the sunlight is stunning, and usually there's some antelope around. That's why we've got this wildebeest. There's even some impala in the distance, and I believe there's a lion around here too, maybe even more. Hi everyone, it's me, Trishala. I have Johanna on camera with me this morning on Djuma Game Reserve, and we are both very excited. Yes, we are very excited. It has this feel. There's this feel in the air today, and I love it. It's sort of this feel that happens just after there's big rain. So last night there was about 12 millimeters of rain here, and now it's cleared up and the sun has come out, and the bush is going to become alive again, and we're going to be right here to capture it on your live safari. Well, like I said, live for you, so won't you use that hashtag WildEarth to chat to us, ask us your questions and your comments, and you can also use @FC on the YouTube chat stream, or you can go up to our website, you can sign up, and you can use our questions and comments box. We would love to hear from you. Now, Steve is also out with me on Djuma Game Reserve today, and he's following up on the lions. Oh, look how beautiful that is. And so our plan is to go down and spend some time at the den. It's been a while since I spent some quality time there, and it's always a good place to start early in the morning. There have been some baboons alarm calling near the dam as well, so Steve's gone and followed up on that. He's hoping that he'll find the lions. There's some young impala rams there. You'll find that the youngsters will kind of coalesce. They're not very young, but they'll kind of coalesce together now as the older rams start to become territorial. Well, now all the animals have hidden behind trees, of course. So we're going to have a nice shot of the sun rising. So it's quite muggy this morning. It's about 21 degrees Celsius or 70 degrees Fahrenheit. But there's all this moisture that's still in the air. But there is no threat of rain really, because it's cleared up very nicely. I'm just going to move ahead a little bit because I can see the wildebeest having a bit of a play on the ground there. Oh, of course he's gotten up just in time. Safari Kitty, you say the bush looks so fresh and green. It really is. After the rains that we had last night, it was really heavy. The bush really looks extra green, extra lush. Well, we're busy looking at this wildebeest here, but look at all of them on the other side. There's a whole lot more just over there. Sorry, Johan, I have to spin him around. This is lovely. I'm not sure when the last time I saw so many of them was. Before, or in the rainy season, like maybe in December, when it was in thick of it. December, Jan. There were quite a few around, but a couple of them did get taken by the lions. And then we didn't see very many of them. And now we've got a whole lot. 15 of those. That's awesome. So that would just be females and maybe some young males. Sub-adult calves. Or sub-adults, not calves. Whereas the one that we saw first would have been a territorial bull. He's watching them so closely. Hi, Ren. You're 8 years old. You'd like to know, how did the wildebeest get its name? Well, I think it actually comes from Afrikaans. But it doesn't actually mean wild beast. Johan, can you help me what it means? It's wild something else, like wild cattle. Wild cattle, yes. It comes from Afrikaans, and it actually means wild cattle, and you can see why. It almost looks a bit like a cow, or something you'd see on the ranch, or on your farm. And Afrikaans is a language that's widely spoken in South Africa. And that's where it comes from. Everyone's looking fairly relaxed, I must say. And just enjoying what we spoke about, that lush green vegetation and the bits of moisture on it. Really nice opening scenes, don't you think? I certainly think so. Well, why don't you go over and see what the opening scene looks like at Tswalu with Josh?
Well, good morning and welcome to another live safari here at Tswalu Kalahari in the African bushveld. I see Trish has started off her morning with quite a bit of a bang. The wildebeest there are nice and relaxed and enjoying the green grass. I was around here a little bit less comfortable this morning. It's one alarm calling in the background. We've been incredibly lucky this morning and started off our morning with finding our 2 cheetah brothers. Weather's nice and cloudy, the light is beautiful, and the temperature's just warm enough. Well, good morning. My name's Josh, and behind the camera is BK, and you're watching another wild safari here at Tswalu Kalahari. As you can see, we've definitely started the morning safari maybe a little bit too early for the boys here. Like most predators, they like spending most of their time having a nice snooze. And by the looks of things, these guys haven't had too much success on the hunting side in the last day or two. They're looking nice and sleek, but still very much in good condition. Been a day or two since they were last seen on the reserve. We've got quite a large territory here on Tswalu. They range most of the western side of the Coronaberg, from our southern tip almost to our northern tip. So quite a large chunk of territory. Although by the looks of things currently, I don't think they'll be roaming anywhere but in dreamland. Lots going on in the background here this morning. The dawn chorus is definitely giving us a lot of singing. We've got all sorts from black-faced waxbills to southern black cuckoo calling, and obviously our lovely sleeping boys here. One who's giving us a little bit of a stretch there and just letting us know he is listening to us. As you can see, they're always alert. Big dangers for them will obviously be lion, hyena, always a threat. But on the side of the reserve, not too much of a problem for them. But that natural instinct to constantly just have a quick look around is always going to be there. Hopefully as it gets a little bit warmer this morning. Oh, good morning, Marilyn. And I agree with you completely. Definitely a very beautiful sighting. These cats are incredibly stunning. I think I'll definitely be spending quite a bit of time with the two boys this morning and seeing what they get up to. The light starts to strengthen and starts to warm up a little bit. We might get lucky and get them on the move. Maybe scent marking or having a little look around and seeing if there's any potential prey for our hunt. On our way into this area, we were lucky and saw kudu, wildebeest, and some springbok, all of which they are quite capable of hunting. And the wildebeest obviously being the youngsters more than the full-grown adults. But in their current condition, I definitely think they might be dreaming of hunting, but not doing too much. The crimson-breasted shrike singing in the background. Dawn chorus this morning is rather spectacular. Little laser gun going off. Well, Mandy, to answer your question, we're not exactly certain of our number. We know that it's roughly over 40 across the entire reserve. So definitely a very successful population here on Tswalu, and definitely a very healthy one. And these two boys have done their part in contributing to adding to it. We were lucky enough to see them mating not even 10 days ago. With one of our females. So yes, I'd say it's a very, very large and very healthy population of cheetah here on Tswalu. They do seem to thrive and do quite well. Obviously, with cheetah, numbers are a bit of a problem, quite an endangered species. The last time I checked, I believe the population, the entire meta population, was around 7,000 animals, and to have a number between, say, 40 and 50 here on Tswalu is quite an accomplishment. Well, folks, we're going to be spending a little bit more time here with the boys and seeing what they get up to. We'll be sending you over to Steve this morning to say good morning.
Good morning, everybody. How are we doing today? I hope you're having a blessed morning. My name is Steve, joined by Paul on camera, and well, we got out this morning trying to figure out where the lions have gotten to, and we found this hyena very far away from where we are now, and we've been following him or her for a very long time. Been doing a lot of pasting, a lot of sniffing, running at full speed and then just stopping and then sniffing the bushes. We try to frame it up for you now. He's not running away from us, everybody. Very relaxed. He stops and comes and sniffs around and then carries on again. But sometimes he really puts on the speed. He definitely knows where it's going. It's just over here on the left. And this fellow is going to find us. Leopard. Who's going to find us a leopard? I'm sure. We've come from very far away. Telematis were found in front of Jacana camp last night. So it's amazing how far these animals can move. They started Jacana camp yesterday morning in Buvuzuk. Then we found them at Sydney's Dam. And they came onto Djuma last night. There you go. Busy smelling. It's like a bloodhound. Are you going to find Tundi for me? Yes, you are. You're going to find Tundi. Now, you experts out there who can identify hyenas at a glance. Oh, he's having a drink. Drink out of the sea blind. See, they're not bothered by the wet. Lions and leopard will avoid walking through a puddle like that. I actually hiss at it. I actually found this one coming towards us on the drainage line of Gary Kaplan. And we heard it sloshing as it was walking towards us. And we've been following him, her. You never know sometimes. No identity. So our plan this morning was to follow up on lions. They seem to be in the north and on the western side, so not a good area for signal. Thomas, they're your favorite to watch. They are very interesting fellows, I'm not going to lie. They're very interesting fellows, and oh, don't go off-road. You've got to go through there. There's a game path that'll take us to Central. I think it's going to Chitwa. It's walking still here. It's going to come through the gap. But I don't think we're going to be able to follow. Thomas, hyenas are very interesting creatures. And it is amazing how far they actually move in an evening. Incredible how far they move in an evening. I know exactly where this one's going to come out. So let's go see if my judgment of this pathway is correct.
Please join me this Saturday evening for a town hall meeting. It'll be live, and it's an opportunity for me to tell you about what Wild Earth is, where we're coming from, and where we're going to. And it's an opportunity for you to ask some questions, give us some feedback, and even maybe get more involved in Wild Earth going forward. 7:30 this Saturday evening, wildearth.tv. It's open to all. You've just got to be registered on our website, and we'd love to see you there.
For all of you Wild Earth explorers who bought plaques, today is the day that you will make your very first safari on our vehicle. Because we are quite remote here in the bush, they have taken some time to arrive, but I am happy to say they are here and they look great. Marcel has spent the day attaching them. Let's take a look.
Before we mount these nameplates, we just give a light dusting of green paint. This is to better match them to the color of the vehicles and also to decrease the reflectivity of the metal and thereby staying sensitive towards the animals.
Bumbo crew, hopefully, Dan Black, Liesel Apgar and Alicia George. Well, it's time for me to get ready to take you all on a safari. Let's go.
I'm Nikki here at Ambion Ngala in South Africa. I love getting questions from viewers about all the small things within the environment and how it all is integrated with one another. If you want to ask me any questions, please simply register with the Wild Earth website, head across to the Live Safari page and then post your questions there. I'm looking forward to chatting to you on my next Wild Earth drive.
Oh, it's going to be in trouble now. Oh, this is unbelievable stuff. Here comes a hippo in too. Go, Impala. There's a hippo coming in. I can't believe what we're seeing here. This is what we normally see in East Africa. It's all over. Hippo leaping at the crocodile now. Everything's gone underwater.
Expect the unexpected here on Wild Earth daily.
Hello guys, we've just seen that dark mane is right here, so let's have a good look at him for a few minutes before we head down to the den, because he is a gorgeous creature. Might be just easier if we do this. We'll just see him from behind, or maybe I can loop around. Just out in the open. Please not have moved while I went to loop. No. There he is. All right, I'll just get in front of him. Excitement for the morning. Love the morning. Morning drive's always my favorite. And there he is. Now, we won't be able to spend too much time here because we happen to just pass when there's a gap of people who are coming to see him. So we'll just spend a few minutes. Enjoy his presence. He's got some really nice hairy elbows at the moment. Awesome. Oh, he's looking at the other vehicles coming. Let's just reverse a little bit to give them a space. There we go. And we can just watch him for just a little bit and then we'll head down to the den because Steve will be following up on the lions too. You can see that his, or actually we can't see it now, but his right paw, or wrist rather, is quite swollen, but we know he's had that injury for a bit. But it doesn't look very great. It doesn't look great at all. Shame. He looks a little defeated this morning. But don't we all sometimes in the morning? Janet, you'd like to know, why is Darkmane never with his brothers anymore? There has been a little bit of a confrontation between them. Blondie and Mohawk, which are the other two brothers, they stick around together, and they hang around with the Nkuhumas a lot more than Darkmane does. But that's not to say that their coalition is broken up or anything like that. They're not seen together often. In fact, the last time I had seen them together was like over a year ago. And that's because they have a preference for different prides. Darkmane has a preference for the Talamati pride, and the Blondie and Mohawk have a preference for the Nkuhumas. So that's why they have been not seen together often, and they're not... well, yeah, you don't see them together often, but that doesn't mean that they're not a coalition any longer, because it essentially is, that's the purpose of a coalition. Some of them may prefer this pride over another pride. It doesn't mean that they're all three going to be together all the time. And it's actually been like maybe a year and a half since I saw all three of them together, and they weren't really interacting. They just happened to be at a kill that was in the east. East of us, so it was around Drakensberg Road. But the last time that I saw three of them moving together as a unit was 2 years ago. Just over 2 years ago, because I just started here. And of course, just like any other collection of brothers or relatives, they do have fights or that kind of thing. Anyway, other vehicles are coming in, so this was just a little bit to get to see Darkmane. We're now going to move on to the den. I'm going to send you over to Steve. Let's see how his lion search is going.
He was often fighting with one's brother. Hello everybody, we followed a hyena. Well, we got around to where we thought he'd pop out, and he popped out and she'd a cut line, and it seems as if we know now what he was following. The rain had washed away fresh tracks, but now all over the road are tracks of the wild dogs that headed straight down south. And you see this one? Well, which one can you see? This one. You see a beautiful back pad, beautiful toes, and they're in line with each other. Lots of them, 1, 2, 3. They actually came here and they played around. They probably even attacked something. They might have caught something right here. All of this digging. It's a very fast moving feet, scratching feet. They might have actually just been attacking each other, playing with each other, went back again, and then they went in, and the hyenas moving through this area here, smelling. Very likely that they maybe killed something small. And then just a little bit further up, they've all gone back on the road and straight back south again. So amazing how we were following that hyena on the road. We had no tracks, and he was just running with his nose, knowing exactly that he's going to catch up with something. And the dogs probably stopped somewhere in the block here where he went in. And these tracks are from after the rain. It rained at about 4 o'clock or so. It really came down last night. So you can see the coloration of these tracks is very fresh, where it's disturbed the wet soil. And then early this morning, these dogs went straight down. So there he goes. He's in the road again, right on the tracks. So he's not looking at them like we do, the visuality, the visualness of the track. He's following this odor. I find that incredible. Even after the rain, he's able to follow them. So pretty much where we picked him up, the wild dogs had gone to the north into Buffelshoek last night. So it's very likely that they'd come south again, or obviously it seems like they had done. And he was obviously following that trail of scent. The dogs did go south into Little Gowrie. You see how he's picked up on the trail. You know, when you start getting really good tracks like when we do, when we're on the road like this, you can see the tracks. What do? We speed up a bit, because we know we've got to catch up. He knows he's got to catch up. He knows the dogs are being a bit active at this time of day. So he wants to catch up and steal some food. 9 of them were seen. I was looking at the tracks now. I could only discern 6, but it doesn't mean that they aren't all there. See, every now and again he feels like he might lose the scent. He goes to have a reapplication. Diana, yes, indeed, incredible sense of smell. I don't even think we know half of it. Sense of smell is not just for finding food, it's also enormously important for communication. This fellow has pasted at least twice at 2 different locations, areas that are territory for him and his clan. And the pasting is something that they do after rain as well, to re-establish sort of territory. Oh, see how he's just bolted again. It's as if he picks up on the scent of something. He's like, this way. And it's quite incredible at the speed at which a hyena can move. And now he's like, hang on, I think I've lost it again. I'm a bloodhound. Well, Helen, the thing is that they're so opportunistic that they go out on their own. You can often find them in groups. In the Mara, they're generally always together in small groups. But here in Djuma, there's a lot of scavenging that goes on. So they cover an enormous area. And when they go out, and if they feel the need, they need to call in reinforcements, then they'll make those loud whooping calls. But it's not uncommon to find 1, 2 hyenas following a pack of wild dogs to try and steal their food. It's not uncommon to find 1, also maybe 2, just sitting under a tree waiting for a leopard to drop its prey. But then also in times when there's a larger predator like lions, at some places you can get huge clans of hyenas that come together to fight and to try and oust the lion off of its prey. But when they hunt, hyenas are very effective hunters as a unit. In the Mara, Jamie Patterson, who used to work here, she got some incredible hunting from the hyenas that side. Very cooperative, large clans, much larger than here. Anywhere from the region of 70 to, in the Mara itself, 120. In the Talik clan, I think it was called. They've been researching them for a very long time, 30-odd years. Oh, very fresh hyena tracks, yeah? On top of the wild dog tracks. So he knows he's going to find them. That's why he's getting excited. Whether he's going to get any food from them is debatable. Okay, lost the smell again. One more time for the smell. Am I smelling wild dog? Or am I smelling a leopard or even a cheetah? Let's go ask Josh what a cheetah smells like.
Well, folks, I think I can definitely agree with Steve and say that predators are always opportunistic. The only difference being his is taking the opportunity to see what he can get for breakfast, and ours are taking the opportunity for a lazy morning lion. Not much has changed here on our side. We've just been having a little conversation with BK about cheetah and where you can and can't find them, and rough ideas about the population sizes. An earlier question we received is, do we have a large population here? With a little bit of thought, I definitely think I can say we do. But taking a look at these two, I'm not quite sure how we got there. They don't seem to be doing too much this morning. And the head goes down again. At least one's having a little look around, and they've turned this little sandpit. Well, just Max Planck, I definitely can't disagree with you there. The red soil of the Kalahari is always a magic thing. And it's painted the shoulders of that male cheetah quite nicely. They've turned the sand pit into a most comfortable bed for the morning. There's a very good chance they've been here for most of the night as well. We were in this area last night and didn't see them, so we definitely know they came into this area after us. And back to dreamland they go. Like most predators, these guys will spend a lot of time resting. Obviously, it's a little bit of work to repair reclaim their energy. Well, Lisa, they'll be able to get rid of a large amount of it just by shaking it off. Obviously, it's a little damp this morning, so the sand is sticking to their fur a bit more. But the last few pieces they might have to groom. They do groom each other. It's one of the ways they maintain quite a strong social bond. So hopefully that'll get rid of all of the sand if they miss any pieces they can't get to themselves. Unlike us who can just pop down to the shops and get a sandwich and that, obviously your predators have to work a little bit harder when looking for a meal, so they generally try not to waste too much energy. In the case of these guys, it looks like they're definitely conserving everything they can. We've seen them hunt rather large game of late, so I think they're definitely doing all right. But I don't see too much changing in the next little bit here. Well, Mandy, they can. Cheetah females are generally on their own, unless they have dependent cubs. So what you might find is a mother hunting with her daughter in the last stages before that daughter goes off on her own. So as much as males will form coalitions of related individuals, females are generally solitary unless with their cubs. So if you're going to see two females hunting together, it'll either be two sisters who have just left their mother and haven't yet gone off on their own, or it'll be their mother and her daughters. But in general, no, your females are solitary. So I think we're going to send you over to Steve, who seems to still be following his hyena. I think I'm going to take a little bumble around and see what else we can find this morning.
Thanks, Josh. Well, we're still with our hyena. He's now eating. I don't know what he's eating. But it's quite funny. It walks. It finds an area where the dog's clearly milled around. It does a little bit of a loop backwards and forwards, and then it takes off at top speed in the general direction that the dog's carried on going. And I'm only seeing that by the tracks, but you see where the dogs sort of mill about a bit. It slows him down, and then off again at top speed. It's quite incredible to see how quickly they can move. What are you eating? Let's go have a look. No, finished eating. Now this fast lope they can do for a long distance. Then every now and again, there's this full sprint, which is quite funny to see, especially from behind. It's the kind of sprint you see them do when a lion's on their tail. It's going straight to Chitwa. Still on the tracks. Sort of each of the junctions on the way down, the dogs have stopped, done a little bit of a turnaround, probably themselves sort of marking a little bit. And there he goes. And we go up again, he'll probably come back again. Let's see with the tracks, yeah. The tracks have gone off there. So straight through towards Chitwa. He's on the fire break now on Torchwood. Let's see if we can get in front. Okay, we'll go to Chitwa this morning then. Go have a look. Although the wild dogs did go from Chitwa into Little Gowrie, it's never know, they could come back again. So that whole opportunistic sort of nature is him moving on his own, is to pick up on scraps, you know, like pick up on anything the wild dogs left behind, and they're not able to consume the entire carcass. So the hyenas know that they will get something from a wild dog kill. A few bones, skull, necessary bone marrow. Thomas, yeah, just they're out and about. I don't actually know who it is, but by the way it's been marking and moving, it indicates it is part of the Djuma clan. But they're often found on their own. They will go back to clan members at some point. Let's see if we can find these wild dog tracks. I think he was going to come down this fire break. Ooh. Remember, the dogs will move down the road as quickly as they want, and then when they spot something or hear something off-road, they immediately just charge off in that direction. And that's what's happened. Obviously, we know we're not going to imminently find the dogs, but along the route, dogs have the potential to tree leopards, steal prey from the leopard. There we go. Here's the tracks of the dogs on the main road heading back again. So they came along through Torchwood there and then hit this road. There we go. Right in front. He should walk towards us because the dog tracks are coming this way. So let's see. He's going to figure them out. Let's have a look. He's like, okay, which way did you go? Let's have a little meander. And they've come this way. At least one has. Okay. He's got to figure it out first. Once they mill about, the smell lingers. You know, he's not looking at a direction. Not looking at a direction. You can't tell the direction from the tracks. It's all about the residual smell. So they all came out here. And there were another hunt took place here, I would guess. All over. Dogs head through there. Don't forget, everybody, we are live and interactive. Okay, so the dogs went two directions here. They came down, they probably ran and hunted. And then after they finished, they headed that way. But he's not sure which one. Here we go. He's going to go in. Ah, Sutu. Okay, thanks, Chris Rogue. Sutu going into Chitwa. And we shall do the same. be able to smell like a hyena just for a day would be quite something. I would really impress all my friends with my tracking skills. Okay, dogs came back. Oh yes, Craig, they do. They do. The dogs are a little bit more cooperative, will work together, and the hyenas are a little bit more selfish. So if they did work together, they would definitely outcompete the dogs. But sadly, they don't tend to do that. There's a bit more of a selfishness to it, but it can be quite violent. Especially dogs when they got pups, can be quite aggressive. So I've got someone who wants to pass me, so we'll just pull over here for a second, let them pass. So the dogs will be very, very aggressive towards a hyena that's encroaching too closely to them. But there seems to be this sort of tolerance as well. The dogs, as long as the hyenas sort of stay a little bit further away, they don't try to steal their food. When a kill happens though, hyenas will often try and go in and steal it, and that's when the dogs can be quite aggressive. But until there's food like that, both parties just sort of amicably hang about. Hyenas just keeping at the back, hoping to get a scrap. Okay, so that vehicle's gone down that way. They'll be able to call us in if they find anything. They'll just go. Now, wild dogs will aggressively chase leopard as well as hyena if there's food. If there's no food, hyena and the wild dog sort of just seem to coexist quite well. There he is. Sutu. So this is what we find ourselves doing sometimes when we find an area where the animals be moving around. We sort of go in circles trying to figure out what's the freshest to track. But maybe also gets to a point where he's like, ooh, I can smell a leopard now. Shreyas, why do they have a weird posture? Well, first of all, their shoulders are higher than their hips. Now, that facilitates their ability to carry pretty heavy prey. A leopard is hips and shoulders, and lion hips and shoulders are the same height. That allows them to walk with stealth. A hyena is able to pick up prey animal, sort of if you think like a crane. A crane has got an elevation at the front and the back is quite stable. That's able to pick something up with leverage. So that spine like that enables them to pick something up, and then they're able to run at pretty much full speed with that prey animal. But then if you also look at animals like wildebeest, hartebeest, animals that can walk and travel quite large distances, they've got that same posture. And that enables them to sort of travel long distance. It's got something to do with just the hind legs and how they interact with the shape of the body. And hyenas, as we know, are marathon runners. They can go very long distance. But the reason why their left and right legs move at such strange angles, I couldn't tell you. It's just got to do with the way that the body's designed. Like both left and right leg will move at the same time. Sorry, both right legs will move, then both left legs. Sort of similar to a giraffe. Why that is, I don't know. I really don't know. Okay, so the dogs have gone that way, Sutu. So are you going to help us find Maribs? Yes. He's going to find my ribs for us. I would like that. It's only a Franklin, Sutu. Don't be scared of a Franklin. Okay, we're going to carry around, oh, it's actually guinea fowl. We're going to carry around this block, see if it comes out again, and see if we can find one of our spotted little friends.
On the 27th of April, Wild Earth will be turning 14 years old, and we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for all of you. And to celebrate, we will be finishing the beautiful book that we started last year that looks at the history so far. But we do need you to be part of it. Please submit your most memorable sighting, or what Wild Earth means to you, or even just your name and a comment to be included inside the book. Head over to the website to add your name and reserve your copy. We are offering a 20% discount on all books bought before the end of March. And a big thank you to all of you who have contributed to the book so far.
With a slew of potential dangers lurking, it's essential to be aware of your surroundings whilst walking in the wilderness.
20 yards away from one of the most endangered species. This is a big bull.
What a moment, what a close encounter with an Ellie bull. He's just over here now. He's moved completely away.
Being on a bushwalk and seeing a leopard, I mean, it's ridiculous to be this close to a leopard on foot and for him not to run is absolutely insane. How crazy was that? Through the gap there is just the back of the head of a male lion. He is absolutely unaware that we are here right now. I tell you, seeing lions on foot, it definitely brings out the caveman in you, this little scared human being.
My name is Ross, and I'm a field guide at and beyond Pinde Private Game Reserve. I love getting questions from guests on Wild Earth because I love sharing and learning information about nature with new people, and it also makes me feel like you're all joining me in real life. If you want to ask a question on Wild Earth, then you need to register on our website. Once registered, go to our live safari page and submit your question below our live feed.
Good morning and welcome to a nice and cool and beyond Ngala this morning. We just managed to find some elephants. Just look at the casual stroll of that guy. You can see the ears are flapping. It's not cold, it's just cool, but it does feel like it's going to warm up. Good morning, I'm Jaapie, and behind the camera we've got Gert, and we are actually following the tracks of a young lioness. Now, what's interesting is the lions have been split up all over this area this morning. They have found some of them near the den site, but we are looking for the other division of the pride, the part with the white lions this morning. And what's interesting is that, so we've already found some elephants, but we heard some lions calling in this direction that we're going, and we're hoping that maybe we might find the young males and the two older lionesses. We got tracks on the road near where we are. They're heading down the road, but for now I've lost them. So I think this lioness might have cut across the clearings and taken the shortcut. You can see there are some elephant tracks. There's also some wildebeest. It's been going across this area. It looks like they probably had a drink of water early morning at the pans. And then the other one that we see a lot is actually Franklin, crested Franklin and spurfowl. And they've been all around. And I'm hearing some southern ground hornbills. I'm also hearing some Burchell's kukels calling, which is quite characteristic of the morning if it rained. I think let's get going and let's see if we get lucky with some tracks of the lions heading further. For now, the reason why I'm not going to stick on the tracks is quite simple. It's just because we have a lead. Somebody told us that they heard lions calling in the direction that we're heading towards. And when you track lions decide to go, they have quite definitive movements. In this case, it's a young lioness. So I think it's one of the youngsters that went to go check up on her mother near the riverbed where she's standing, and probably decided to come back and head back to the bulk of the pride, or her brothers. The eating machines, the ones that literally eat the rest out of the area. Imagine raising 5 male lions. I remember one morning we got them, we heard them take down a buffalo, and it was about 4 o'clock, and by the time we got out it was about 6:30, and by the time we got there it was around 7:30. And we knew more or less where they were, so we didn't take too long to find them. It was a very, very dense area. And when we got there, they were practically done. But just have a look at that. And that is one of the best things about this particular area, is the fact that you get to There's also some lions calling, and it sounds like more than one lion in the direction that those elephants are walking. Ooh, this is an exciting morning. The best part about them is that those elephants don't even seem bothered. Looks like 3 young bulls, if I'm not mistaken. The 2 in front's quite young though. Maybe about 12 to 16 years old. Where the one at the back looks slightly older. From what I could see back there, it looked like they had a mud bath, and now they're moving to feed. Well, you can see the one elephant's trunk is twisting and turning, so he's also got the scent of something else. I'm not sure. There's a very good chance that there's a herd that's gone through this area. See, it's briefly stopping there. I'm assuming it's picked up the scent of something. Jerome, I highly doubt that these elephants are family members. I think that's an older elephant that does its own thing, and these 2 young ones are probably not completely detached from the herd. They're probably not following too far. They're just adventurous and at that age, and They've probably linked up with this guy somehow along the way. And I'm pretty sure they're not trailing too far behind the herd. So at this stage, they're more than likely seeing him as a mentor of some sorts. You can see the way that trunk's going there on the ground. I know they do take the chance, take some mud and throw it on themselves. You can see he's using the trunk kind of as a slingshot. And he's aiming between the front legs along the chest and the belly. And some soft soil or mud on the ground there. And his tusk is completely full of mud there. Now, it's interesting because a lot of young animals does that. They do gather in these groups of males at a certain age, depending on what the animal is. And it's kind of like a learning school. So with elephants, especially, young males have to learn from the older males because they reach a point where they become a little bit rowdy and unmanageable, and the females tell them to bugger off. And then you have to learn from older males, no matter how much older, sometimes not too much. In this case, I don't think, because they are too much older than, or younger than this guy. Elephants have a interesting growth pattern. They reach about from 16 to 25. There's a huge difference. Once they reach about 20 to 25, it seems like there's a growth spurt that they really do set out in height and size. What's amazing though is how they decide when to stop, when to do what they do. Charles, how many elephants would typically be in a herd? No, I've seen a herd of 4, mother and 3. Ooh, look at that. That is amazing. The funniest thing about that is that I have to drive there still. And I'm pretty sure this road that was redone and fixed yesterday is now, it's become a victim of elephant fun. Just look at that. You can see he's got his head down on the ground. And what he's actually doing, you can see the mud on the flank, on the left hip. But he's rubbing the area behind his ears flat down on the ground. So he's trying to cover himself in thick mud there. Just look at that patches of mud, those clumps of mud on the tusks there. It's amazing. He's actually, you can see the concentration within that elephant trying to rub himself to the point where the mud sticks in between the creases in the skin. And those younger ones are literally just looking and learning, I guess. They are amazing creatures. That's the one thing about the elephants that I do enjoy the most. If I got the name correct, Miss Little Piggy. Would elephants avoid lions or just scare them off? It depends on the situation. It also depends on the elephant and also the lion. Now, I've seen quite a few interesting situations. If it's big bull elephants, they'll come over, they'll chase lions off. But then I've also seen some very grumpy male lions which didn't want to tolerate the elephants and would go at them, and then the elephants would eventually break character or nerve and they'd run away. So I can hear lions calling again in the direction of those elephants. And I think what would make my day today is lions and elephants together. Alyssa, you raise an interesting point. You've never seen an elephant that big lay down before. I do think this elephant, from the distance that he's at, and initially I think I aged him a little bit younger than he might be. From here it's difficult to say, but I'd say this elephant is at least 20 years old, maybe 20 to 25. And it is not a common sight to see large elephants like this lay down. They do occasionally. There's one thing I learned about elephants. It's the fact that they do funny things. And what I've noticed a lot lately is when they get to the riverbed and the banks on certain areas where the soil's quite soft, if it's a good patch, the animals will most definitely try and cover themselves with the mud there. If it's a patch that they don't eat the mud. And that's also another thing they do. Sometimes they'll gather clumps full of soil and they'll try and ingest it, and the reason for that is just because of the minerals in it. You can see this elephant, look at him scratching his ears all over his face. So he's actually trying to take some of that mud and rub it around the creases over the face. He's in a peculiar mood. Just look at the way he's knotted his trunk over his tusks there. That is quite odd. He's in a peculiar mood this morning, but I do think also that this elephant is just very relaxed, relieved. Indigo girl, the width of that trunk is definitely amazing. Just look at him. See that? It was a half-hearted attempt of taking some mud, throwing it over himself. But also a scratch on top of the head. Now the stopping, that's an interesting part about these animals, because everybody always wonders what an animal does when it just stops and stares off to the distance. With cats, explanations from seeing spirits to being crazy have been given. Personally, I think these animals have senses that's way beyond our own. Every now and again, especially out here, you have to stop and have a listen out. And if it's a big animal like this, there's nothing bothering it. What stops it from stopping and listening? But while this elephant is cooling itself down and preparing for a long day under the clouds, I think what we do is we might move or continue in the direction to go and see if we can find those lions calling.
Hi, my name is Damon and I'm a guide here at and Beyond Pinder Private Game Reserve. Join me and our resident ecologist Craig Sholto Douglas at the fireside on the 21st of March for a discussion on 2 of our conservation projects. In early 2016, and Beyond was faced with the fact that without some serious intervention, our rhino population could be in some serious trouble. And so a decision was made to start a rhino dehorning program. Sadly, the fastest mammal on land, the cheetah, is also racing towards extinction. The and Beyond Pinder Conservation Team has been working on a project that aims to increase the genetic integrity of cheetah in protected areas around the country. Sign up to be a Wild Earth Explorer and join us for a lively debate where we'll answer as many of your questions as possible.
Wild Earth Explorer Jenny recently joined Tristan as he broadcast live from Djuma.
Awesome to kind of have a guest on board. I'm looking forward to this. This is Jenny.
Hi everyone.
And Jenny is the first of our Ticket to Dream holders.
If you want to go on safari with a Wild Earth guide, whilst honing your bush knowledge and of course featuring in one of our shows, then head over to our website.
Literally being with Tristan on the vehicle today has been incredible. It has truly been a dream come true.
Sign up to be a Wild Earth Explorer and you could be making your first ever on-screen appearance.
I would highly recommend being a part of the Explorer program and being able to be a part of an interactive live drive.
My name is Taylor McCurdy and I work for Eco Training. I love hearing from all of the viewers. However, I particularly enjoy those of you who have been watching for a few years. Your questions are just so advanced and they really get me thinking. If you'd like to ask a question on Wild Earth, you need to register on our website. Once you've done that, head to the Live Safari page and submit your questions below the live.
Welcome to Chitto, everybody. Well, we followed Sutu, who I apologize. There's a female hyena. We followed to the point where obviously turned away from those wild dog tracks, and she did indeed pick up on leopard tracks. We followed her for a little bit, and I'm not sure exactly who, but there are a few vehicles with a leopard that's crossed into Torchwood. So it definitely was leading us into that direction. Maybe it's Kachava's son, maybe it's Sabuyi's son. We're not sure, but we've moved out and we've come down to have a nice parking, relaxing session here with a monitor lizard here at Chitwa Dam. This fellow, this water monitor, just came out of the puddle above his head to come and charge the solar panels for the day. The sun is definitely starting to warm up, and reptiles are ectothermic, so their body is one big solar panel. It came out of the water very, very slowly, very lethargically. And by doing this, obviously it puts itself at risk. You can see why. It's quite alert. It's looking in every direction. The bird of prey would be looking for this kind of activity. So it's alert, and its front feet are prepped to cannon it off in a direction, and it would go straight into that puddle where it would find a relative safety for a moment. Decent size specimen. Hello, Tommy, 7 years old. Well, the rock monitor versus the water monitor. The rock monitor is a bit more stocky in build, so a little bit more sort of heavily built. The nose is not as sharp, it's a bit more stunted, and it doesn't have those sort of nice yellow patterns on the body. The monitor lizard water monitor can actually get longer than the rock monitor, although you often see very big rock monitors, so you think they are bigger, but fully grown, these fellows get a bit bigger, longer that is. And habitat is quite an important one. The water monitor is always near water, and the rock monitor, like the name implies, is found away from water, so on rocks or in trees, but normally more terrestrial. These fellows are very, very aquatic, always around water, always looking for birds' eggs and crocodiles' eggs and anything around the water's edge. And so that difference in habitat is what's changed them slightly. Their evolutionary niche, where obviously one has adapted to be more aquatic, the camouflage perhaps, and the more streamlined nose for swimming is possibly a reason for that. And the rock monitor, which doesn't need to swim, probably can swim, I've never seen one swimming, doesn't have the same streamlined nature because that's more out and about in the woodland. But both have got very, very adaptable climbing feet, very good at digging and climbing. They can hold onto the side of a wall quite easily. I know, because I've had to remove one from a chalet once. It was quite difficult. And, well, it was always splendid to spend time with them. I know Trish likes to hang out with these monitor lizards, and, well, I wonder how she's getting along on Juma.
Copy, thanks, Aubrey. And we're here on Cheetah Cutline, and we managed to find our little darlings, ones that I love to see, tiniest little predators we get here, or tiniest little carnivores actually, because we get plenty of tiny predators. But these dwarf mongooses, yes, that's correct, are busy enjoying themselves. Lots of sun. It's heated up so much now. Oh, please interact. Oh, they're so dainty, but also so fierce at the same time. And that's what I love about them. Small, but they can pack a real punch. Can you hear there's a grey-headed bushshrike in the background? Of course it stops, but if you'll hear it, quite a haunting sound. Nope, still doesn't want to call. Now I've managed to see when we just arrived, about 20 of them were basking in the road. And then they've all moved off, or pretty much all moved off to forage. Just another one in the distance there. There we go, just moved across the road. I've been seeing lots of youngsters. Quite young. Look at that. So at about 10 weeks they start foraging with the rest of the business. They'll finally be included into the family business in about 10 weeks, shall we say. So some of the ones that we're seeing are probably around that age, say 10 to 15 weeks, because they're still significantly smaller than the adults. They've mostly seemed to move off now. So we're also going to move off. We're going to go off to Buffelshoek Dam. We're going to send you off to Josh at Tswalu in the meantime.
Well, folks, I hope you enjoyed spending a little bit of time with Africa's smallest carnivore, the dwarf mongoose. We've just managed to stumble on 2 male ostrich here on Tswalu, and these two would be a perfect snack for the two boys we left earlier. So our cheetah males are quite partial to ostrich as a prey item. I wouldn't say it's necessarily an easy prey item, but they are one the boys do like. The reason I can say these two are male is they are dark black, whereas your females are more of a dirty grey-brown color. Obviously our heaviest living land bird, males can weigh up to 70 kilos. So at the moment these guys will be getting rather nice and round as he goes behind the bush there. Because they are obviously herbivores, they eat mostly seeds and that, though they will also swallow any shiny objects that they can find. Seems like they're deciding to hide behind the bushes away from us. Little odd brief glimpse popping in and out there. Little sociable weaver joining the party. Yeah, these guys are quite an entertaining species. As they're not the brightest of birds, but very pretty nonetheless. Nice little regal pose there. Gives us a nice look at him. These guys are capable of running speeds of well up to 50, 60 kilometers an hour. So definitely going to let those two cheetah brothers work hard if they do decide to try and find them. I wonder what he's having a look at there. And he's on the move again. Stunning dark plumage at the moment. Oh, little white-browed sparrow weaver nest. And our ostrich is hiding down the other side there. We're going to move a little bit and see if we can't get another look at them. And hope you enjoyed the Tswalu scenery. Well, Thomas, bit of a funny story. I've had a male ostrich race me in another game reserve I was in. I was trying to move between lodges, and I was doing about 45 kilometers an hour when he came flying past me. So I know what the literature says, but personally from experience, I'd say easily up to 60 kilometers an hour without too much effort. Here's a nice look at both of them now. Here's a good look at both of them. Occasionally as they feed, you will see a little ball going down their neck. It's the build-up of everything they've managed to forage going down at one time. They will occasionally swallow rocks to help with their digestion as well. I'm getting quite a nice pose here from this one individual. They're definitely on the move somewhere. I'm glad you all love ostriches, so do I. It's quite a interesting bird, I must say. An odd one, but interesting nonetheless. There's been a lot of males fighting lately around Tswalu. The females, obviously all the males competing for the ladies' attention. we're going to move along a little bit and see if we can't keep up with these two fine males. So, although not technically set to one specific breeding season to my knowledge, Weimaraner, they will generally breed, I would say, in the seasons where there's more food. Oh, here we're getting some running going on. Let's see if we can't give you folks a bit of a look there. A little bit of dancing going on there. Now they've stopped. So back to your question, Weimaraner, my apologies there. Although I'm not certain as to the exact time of year these birds will breed, I would take a guess that it is generally in the parts of the year where there's a lot more food. I do know when these males come into that breeding season, front of their legs will become incredibly pink, as well as their feathers become almost more shiny. Obviously, this is just a way of them trying to attract attention. And what you'll find there is they do share the work, with females primarily sitting on the nest for half the day and the males the other half. And as these boys go behind over the dune crest, we're going to be sending you over to Steve, who's enjoying a nice view of a waterhole.
Not coming to me, eh?
Yeah, they were pumping straight towards those big mudlarks there, man.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Chitwa. Might just hear the sounds of a vehicle driving past. We have a couple of beautiful Nyala bulls taking it very easy, coming down towards the water. It's always a blessing to just sit at a watering hole and just wait. Never know what might materialize. Lena, your favorite antelope, they are a beautiful one, aren't they? I only saw a couple in Proudlands, plenty here and around Chitwa. One of the most sexually dimorphic of the antelope. If you've never heard that phrase before, sexual dimorphism is the difference between males and females. Lions, obviously, there's a size difference, and the lions have manes, females don't. And Nyala, male have horns, females don't, same as impala, but then there's a beautiful chocolate coat, a big white mane of fur on the back, which they use for display. Their beautiful yellow socks, remnant of their earlier childhood. Obviously Nyala boys when they're younger look very much like the females. And unfortunately they're going behind the car. Another vehicle was also just enjoying the sights of Chitwa. Resident family of hippos. Wonderful to see Chitwa still so full. Very tranquil, everybody. Bodies of water have the ability to soothe, relax. We have a little bit of competition on the left here. Blacksmith lapwing chasing a little three-banded plover. Competing for food resources. Insects washing up on the side of the shore. We see the blacksmith lapwing is much bigger. Okay, well, sounds like water is indeed the currency of life. It sounds like Trish is also enjoying a quiet moment.
Are made up of water. And luckily for us, there's plenty of it on Djuma at the moment. We're here at Buffelshoek Dam. It's looking even fuller and fresher than it did yesterday. For obvious reasons, there's a bit of rain yesterday, or last night. So it's got a bit of an extra sparkle today. Now in the shallower areas on the eastern side of the dam, you can see all the way there, that's where the hippos are at the moment. I'm just glad to see that there are some hippos in the dam, because a couple of times we've come to visit, they haven't been. It's definitely nice to see that. We're also enjoying some tranquility at the dam. The air has this kind of fresh smell that comes after the sun appears and warms up the ground, while after it's been wet and moist. It's kind of fresh, almost cut grass kind of smell. There's our hippo friend. I like how they're in the glistening section there, so when they exhale really kind of strongly, then they get that puff of water. And it looks very pretty in the light there. Isn't it magical? I think so. Lucy, I'd like to know what happens to the nostrils of the hippo when they go underwater, because obviously they can't take their hand and cover their nostrils, but their nostrils pinch closed. So you'll find that their nostrils are sort of oval shaped. So imagine if it were a circle, and then you cut down the middle of a circle so that it can easily open and close. And that's how their nostrils are designed. It's longer than it is wider, just a little, just a tad. And that allows it to kind of close and open very easily. And it's also obviously got some muscle structure around the area that allows for that. And that's why when it opens, they give a very kind of violent, almost exhale or huff to really expel any air and moisture that would lie on top. And those nostrils will shut very tight. They'll go under, and then when they come back out, they go, and that's what we see. You'll see that they, as soon as they, oh, look at that. Lovely. As soon as they go under, the nostrils will close and the ears tilt down. And then off they go. Like that. The sun is properly beating down now. But smoke clouds have started to develop. It's just that the sun's found a great patch to toast Johan and I at the moment. And given this heat, the hippos will try to stay submerged as long as possible. And even if they can't stay down too long, they'll make sure that their noses and their eyes and ears are a little bit above water, and then stay in the nice cool water and wetness of the water, for obvious reasons, because it's water, as long as possible. Because we know how sensitive their skin is. Can easily desiccate. Tswalu, he's on a bit of a bumble, and I'm going to continue on my bumble.
Well, folks, welcome back to Tswalu, where I think the weather could be said to be just a little bit different. Still very overcast and a nice moderate temperature here. If we had the same temperatures as Juma, we'd also be making like the hippos and trying to submerge ourselves for as long as possible. We're slowly making our way back towards where we left those two cheetah boys. Just going to see what they're up to. There's quite a large block around the area, just having a look who else has been around, and we're lucky enough to see some oryx and kudu and that, but unfortunately a little bit too shy for the camera. And obviously those two lovely male ostrich. To an earlier question we were asked about whether ostriches breed in specific seasons. I wasn't quite certain of the answer, so I'm happy to report that I did manage to find it, and they'll breed pretty much all year round, although spikes in that breeding behavior can be caused by rain in very arid areas, so hopefully that helps explain that one. But, we're quite close to where those two cheetahs are. I'm going to see what they're up to. Hopefully they haven't moved too far. Well, folks, I cannot argue with you there. The scenery here is definitely one of my favorite parts. See that BK has just spotted the young oryx, a bit of a broken horn here, who definitely want to be paying a little bit of attention to what's going on around him. See, he's decided he doesn't want to talk to us. I've mentioned his broken horn. Must be a little bit shy. Let's see if we can't find those two boys, hopefully down this road. I think one of the big things with Tswalu that draws people in is the massive contrasts in colors, as well as the starkness of that landscape. So scenery is definitely a big part of why I love this place, and why I enjoy so much the guiding here at Tswalu is the vastness. Just had a question from Jerome as to whether or not we only find oryx here at Tswalu, and that would be a negative, Jerome. They're an arid landscape antelope, so we'll definitely find them in more areas than just Tswalu. You find them in Etosha, Namibia, so generally anywhere that's true desert. And down into these more arid regions you'll find them. The low faults and that, not so much. So just having a look here, if BK doesn't mind panning a little bit, you can see this is where we left those two boys this morning. It does look like they've taken a bit of a wander, so I think our plan is going to be seeing where their tracks have gone and seeing if we can't find out where they've gone and what they're up to this morning. Just having a little gander around. Can't quite see them. I'm just going to grab my binos. But does seem to be that they've moved off and might be looking for that early morning meal, or maybe just a nice shady spot, is slowly starting to warm up here. I think we're going to keep rolling a little bit, folks, and see if we can't see where have these two lads vanished off to. So we've just had a question from Monkey Moon asking how much ground will cheetah cover in a day? So I cannot say it's a specific amount. I would say that depending on whether or not they've eaten lately, are they moving away from potential threats maybe, as well as the fact that it could be a male following the scent of a female. So the answer is incredibly varied. I think how long is a piece of string would be an accurate comparison. So I think anywhere between, I've seen them move not even 500 meters in a day to other days where I've tracked cheetah for up to 10 kilometers. I think there's no specific answer I can give you, unfortunately, but I hope that kind of gives you a bit of a perspective. Although maybe not the incredibly large and endangered predator we're looking for. Nice little ground squirrel colony here, sitting in the sun a bit. Oh, there's another head popping out. So these colonies are quite interesting. You'll find that females will share tunnels with females and males with males. And generally, only when a female is receptive will a male go into the female tunnels to mate. Otherwise, they stay separated but fairly close together. And looking into the distance here, into my head, I see we've got some nice giraffe up ahead to look forward to as well. So, looks like the little things and the big things are out at Tswalu this morning. A little bit of activity there, but that sudden freeze behavior, have a quick look around. Are there any predators? Are there any threats? And if nothing catches their eye or their hearing and that, and their sense of smell, they'll carry on with their normal morning routine and keep on having a little nibble for breakfast and keeping their tunnel systems nice and clean. A little boxing match going there.
Please join me this Saturday evening for a town hall meeting. It'll be live, and it's an opportunity for me to tell you about what Wild Earth is, where we're coming from, and where we're going to. And it's an opportunity for you to ask some questions, give us some feedback, and even maybe get more involved in Wild Earth going forward. 7:30 this Saturday evening, wildearth.tv. It's open to all. You've just got to be registered on our website, and we'd love to see you there.
Our lives are dictated by alarm clocks, traffic jams, constant multitasking, and countless distractions. The wilderness is where many of us feel the most human. On a bushwalk, we become part of the natural landscape. As you step off the vehicle, everything comes alive. As with any risky experience, walking amongst these animals inspires awe and appreciation. Now, it's your turn to go on a bushwalk. Join us from Pride Lands as we slow down our thoughts, put aside our distractions, and reconnect with a place that first taught us how to be human.
I love being a cam up for Wild Earth. The animals coming right up close to you, especially like lions. Sometimes you get nervous, but you have to go with the flow. My favorite animal to film is the elephant because of how big it is. But when it's really up close to you, it's one animal that you would say, I really respect you.
Goodness, look at its wobbly legs. Oh, I don't believe it. I can't believe we've actually seen it. Oh my goodness. Oh, careful, careful, careful. Oh no. Oh, it's okay, little one. Okay.
Expect the unexpected here on Wild Earth daily.
Welcome back, folks. So we decided to go with a little bit of a contrast and go from our ground squirrels, who are a little bit closer to the ground, to two nice giraffe here at Tswalu Dam here in Tswalu. So to give you a little bit of an idea and the difference in size, ground squirrels can grow up to about 70 centimeters in height, where a full-grown bull giraffe can do anything up to about 6 meters. So definitely a slight difference there. But always an amazing animal to spend a bit of time with, and always quite a fascinating one because they are so different. There are a few more around us here in the area as well. These two seem to be the two giving us the nicest pose. Well, there is a single individual here on the other side of the dam on our right. Quite a unique coloration pattern, quite a big bull. Oh, doing a little bit of the splits there as he drinks. And there's that quick flick of the head. He's on the move again. I'm going to try reposition us a little bit here. I think there's a good chance he's heading to the other side of the dam just to drink there. So we've just had a question from Daniel as to whether or not there are any elephants in Tswalu. And Daniel, we have no elephant in Tswalu at all. There are massive bulk feeders, and the landscape here and the vegetation just can't quite handle them, unfortunately. In times gone by, you might have found elephant herds migrating through areas like this in years of incredible rains. So for a short period, the land would have been able to carry them. But permanently and currently, there are no ellies on Tswalu at all. And for those who are interested, this is our southern giraffe. We have 4 species of giraffe in Africa. These guys are our southern. We've been very lucky. We've got quite a healthy population here in Tswalu. And by the way, he's tucking into his littles over there. I don't think going to be struggling anytime soon. Our cloud cover is slowly starting to burn off here, and it's starting to warm up. Starting to feel like those hippos at Juma might need to go for a swim in this dam. BK reckons he's not so keen for a swim in the dam with our lovely little Egyptian goose family. So we've had a very interesting question from Pat, and the question is, are Tswalu's giraffes lighter? And my answer to you, Pat, is I do think that over time we've landed up with a slightly lighter giraffe, and whether or not that's an adaptation to the desert environment and the heat here needing to reflect away heat, or whether that's just by chance, I cannot give you a solid answer. But I would say, on average, in my experience here and from what I've seen, that our giraffe are definitely a little bit lighter on average, but we do still obviously land up with some quite dark individuals as well. A little blacksmith lapwing making a rather large racket around the dam. We might get some drinking there. So, I've got another question. This one is from Reg. Good morning, sir. How can we tell a giraffe's gender from afar? So, those horn-like projections on the top of their heads are called ossicones. And these ossicones are one of the ways we can tell. So, what you find is that your males' ossicones are generally a little bit thicker and they grow further apart, so they're wider. The reason being, these are the points of contact when fighting with other males in a behavior called necking. Whereas your female's horns are generally a little bit closer together, or her ossicones, not her horns, and they still have a lot of the fur on the top, so they land up with these tiny little like fur clumps where your males lose that fighting. So if you're looking from afar and those ossicones are nice and thick and broad, then you're definitely going to be looking at a male, where if they're a little bit thinner, a little bit gentler, and they've got a little bit more fur on the top, you're going to be looking at a female. We've got one little head poking around the bush, and looks like our other individual is going to be heading over towards his friend. The center of the dam here, oh, just popped down. Lucky enough to get a little look at a quick grebe. But there's lots of bird life going on at the dam. We've had a comment from Heidi saying Tswalu is a magnificent place, and I cannot help but agree with her. I think over the next few days we'll hopefully be exploring a little bit more of the differences around Tswalu and how big it is, and I definitely think that you will share mine and Heidi's opinion with how stunning this place really is. So we've got a little wildebeest walking away from the waterhole there. He's decided that it's a little bit too much action around here. He's going to be heading back to his territory and leaving everybody here on their own. Looks like our giraffes are going to be slowly heading off as well. Oh, can't quite decide what are they up to. So we've just had a question from Sandy, and the question was along the lines of, are giraffes territorial? So Sandy, that is a negative. They have a home range, but there is no need for territory. These animals form something called temporary associations, and some days will walk together, some days they won't, and are absolutely not phased. When it comes to territories, you need a reason to defend it. So generally you're trying to control a population of females, or it's either access to water or food. In the case of these amazing animals, that's not an issue they have. So no, definitely not a territorial animal as such. A very relaxed and rather peaceful scene sitting here at the dam. So folks, I think we're going to take a little turn and try and see if we can't find out what happened to those boys. We're going to be sending you across to Yapi, who's on a bumble. Enjoy.
Come on. So we've heard lions call in this particular area all morning, but we haven't been able to successfully find any physical sign of them, and it's making our job a little bit tough this morning. That, along with the fact that we've had more rain in this particular part than we realized at first, I think, and the elephants have certainly contributed to making our rite of passage a little bit more tricky. So this particular part of Angola is quite an interesting area because it's got very sandy soils. It's actually quite high up, and back in the day they used to quarry rock and stuff from this particular area to build the roads in the larger area. But around us we have a silver cluster leaf forest, and there's a lot of wildlife that's hidden here. Good grasses, some marula trees in between here and there, but and a lot of signs of elephants, game paths everywhere. The grasses are treaded on, but lions, nothing yet. And I know they're here. They must be somewhere here. What the calls that we heard earlier on was most definitely animals on Ngala, not off the property. So I guess we are just going to have to be vigilant and make sure that we don't miss anything. But this particular area, quite an interesting area. It's also characterized by a lot of termite mounds. And most of them are the large fungus growers, so they recycle any nutrients that might come into this particular part, like droppings from animals, the elephants in particular, but also zebra and wildebeest. And then there's also a lot of seasonal pans or seasonal watering holes that form in this part. So this is actually quite interesting. Now I know from here you might not be able to see it properly, but if you have a look at this termite mound right next to us, that is, yes, a termite mound. I know it's overgrown with grass and it's properly recovering after many years of being used, but look at all the grasses, they're all flattened. In fact, it looks like there is something big that walked over that, and that is a herd of elephants that's gone through this area. They flattened all the grasses. They fed around the termite mound as well, but I also don't notice large amounts, because you can usually clearly see where the elephants have fed. You can see them, they pull off clumps of grass and you'll notice the shortened stems. But this just looks like a herd coming over. Maybe it is because of the viewpoint here, they were looking out, or maybe it was younger ones playing around. But the amount of elephant movement in this area is astounding. Especially considering the fact that we've only seen 3 young elephant bulls in this part this morning, but other than that we haven't seen anything. Alright, but I think from here we're going to continue along and continue looking for those lines, because I can hear the rattling testiculus going crazy next to us and probably shouting at us. While we continue looking for our lions, we'll head over to see what Trish is finding on her bumble.
Good luck, Yafi. Hope you find your lions. I have done my duty to the east and checked it quite thoroughly, so now I'm going off to the west. We did go past to see if our Avoca male was still there. He has since moved on. No surprises there because it became really hot at one point. The hyena den was inactive. And I haven't seen any elephants. But I'm going to change it around for this last hour of drive. Hope that we'll find something incredible. I hope that you're on board with me too. So we're going to head towards the west. And in that area, potentially we could see Kara or even maybe Shidulu. And why I have hopes for Shidulu is because she tends to move even when it's quite warm. So hopefully she'll be around. I'm just looking for some tracks here. No. We did find some female leopard tracks at Twin Dams. They came, actually now that I think about it, it could have been Tandy's Cub Maribs as well, because they were biggish female leopard tracks, but it could also be smallish male leopard tracks to belong to a 1-year-old. So it could have been him. Came into Juma Dams and went straight back out. But he's still around that Molwanini area, and Steve is heading in that direction. Hopefully he'll be able to find him. Hi Tato, you'd like to know if leopard territories move or do they stay in the same spot? They're quite fluid, but within a certain context. So they're fluid in the sense that if a leopard moves away or if a leopard dies or loses condition, other leopards can move in and take that territory for itself. Yes, we have some impala here with some ominous clouds behind them. And so that's especially for males. If there's a male that's moved out or been injured, other males can push him out of his territory and claim that part of or that territory for themselves. Remember that a territory, you want your territory, which is the area that you protect against the same sex, you want your territory to incorporate and include areas where you're going to get nice, good prey. There's water, there's shade, all those resources you want to include in your area. So if your area is not, your territory is not really great, there's lots of open areas and the antelope are not suitable for you. Maybe there's only big buffalo and you're a leopard and you want something more suitable to your size, then you're going to have to move your territory. So it depends, everything depends on whether there's enough resources within that area. And then for the females, especially, then they move territories based on their offspring. So they'll donate portions of their territory, especially to their female offspring. The males will disperse. So it is quite fluid. Anyway, let me send you off to Tswalu. I hope that I'll find some other creatures along the way here in the west.
Well, folks, I hope you learnt a lot about leopards. We've got, as they say in Afrikaans, the jachtluiperd here. And we've obviously not the worst trackers in the world, myself and BK. We've managed to find these two boys again. And one's taking a little bit of a wander, going slightly west. His brother is sleeping quite close to the car here. And he's lifted his head as well. Maybe just to give you a smile for the camera. But they have not moved too far from where we left them. It looks like they are on the move again. We're definitely happy to see that they are in good condition. So no hip bone sticking out, and we can't see the spine and that. So although they might not have eaten in the last day or two, they're still in very good nick. Oh, scratch behind the ear there. Get rid of that spot. Yeah, that's the spot right there. Obviously quite an itchy spot, giving it a lot of attention there. And getting a nice look at that lovely spot pattern. Leopards might be nice and fluid, but there's definitely a slender beauty to a cheetah, without a doubt. Oh, looks like his brother's changing direction a bit. I'm not quite sure which way he wants to go. So I'm going to start up and see where they go, and we'll follow them for a little while. Looks like they're doing their favorite thing and finding another tree to have a snooze under. Looks like they're going to be hopping from shady spot to shady spot this morning and aren't too interested in us or keeping us company, I must say. But hopefully we'll get a last look at these two beautiful boys before leaving them alone for the morning. A little hello there. So we've just had a lovely question from Gail. Good morning, Gail. would these two boys stick together for life? Gail, there's an incredibly good chance that, yes, they'll stick together for life, or until at least one either passes on or dies for various reasons. We've got a nice little bit of allo grooming going on there, bit of mutual grooming. This is one of the ways they reinforce that bond between them. As you can tell, they're quite close and very comfortable with each other. One grooming the other's face there. Obviously, these guys will try and groom areas where the individual cannot get to themselves. So, the bottom of the throat in that area there is often quite a common area. You'll see them grooming on each other. And those lovely orange eyes, always a favorite feature for me on cheetah. So we've just had a question from Ridgeback, and the question was, how many hours a day do cheetah snooze? So the best answer I can give you is there's no set time limit. They'll happily sleep most of the day, especially if their bellies are full and there's no threats around them, especially if hot. But if the weather is more temperate and they're hungry, then you'll find them moving a lot more during the hours of the day. Obviously at night they're not so mobile because the threat of bumping into other predators and their vision not being built to be very successful or very effective at night. So with these two boys, I must admit they do spend, I'd say, easily more than half the day snoozing, regardless of whether or not they're full. Obviously here at Tswalu, we're part of the Southern Kalahari, we're a desert reserve, so you find most of your game is very active early in the morning, and then they siesta from about 10 o'clock in the morning till probably 4:35 when we go out again, just because these are the times where the temperatures are more temperate. By the looks of things, I think we have our first siesta about to start, and the second brother probably won't be too far behind. So we've just had a question from Matthew asking how far away are these two cheetah from where we saw those ostriches. Matthew, as the crow flies so directly through the bush, I'd say we're probably about 1 kilometer, maybe a bit less away from them. They're about 1 dune over if we were to head west. So although not a massive distance, they were feeding away from this direction, and by the looks of things these boys aren't quite prepared to walk that far. If I look at where we left them to where we have now found them, I'd say they've moved maybe 350 meters, so they're being nice and lazy cats. nice and peaceful at the moment. Temperature's just right for a comfortable snooze.
On the 27th of April, Wild Earth will be turning 14 years old, and we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for all of you. And to celebrate, we will be finishing the beautiful book that we started last year that looks at the history so far. But we do need you to be part of it. Please submit your most memorable sighting, or what Wild Earth means to you, or even just your name and a comment to be included inside the book. Head over to the website to add your name and reserve your copy. We are offering a 20% discount on all books bought before the end of March. And a big thank you to all of you who have contributed to the book so far.
I'm absolutely delighted to have won the February prize draw for 3 nights for 6 people at the Djuma Private Game Reserve. I absolutely love everything Wild Earth has to offer. I find the guides extremely knowledgeable and will go above and beyond to ensure a great safari experience. I will be taking my husband and family from the UK to experience this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. One of the main reasons I joined the Wild Earth Explorer program was for the fireside chats and also to win an incredible prize, which I am so fortunate to win and incredibly happy. I would like to thank Wild Earth for this amazing prize and cannot wait to meet the team.
My name is Lauren and I'm currently working in Djuma Private Game Reserve here in South Africa. I love answering your questions during the live safaris. It's my favorite part. It feels like you're on the vehicle with me and I'm able to teach you exactly what you want to know. If you want to ask a question on Wild Earth, then you need to register on our website. Once registered, you must go to the live safari page and ask your question below the live feed.
I'll go back to Chitwa, everybody, where we managed to relocate on Maribs, lying up in the Milwanini. But unfortunately, the gremlins are at play. He's looking so good. Haven't seen him in since I was last here, so a month ago. He's looking good. Nice to see him. No sign of Thandi. But there were tracks all over that area. So we're just taking another little slow loop back into Chitwa itself. It's on the boundary, so on Gowrie Main, Milwanini, so there's a couple of vehicles there, so we're going to go around so that we don't have to bump into that sighting. So how many burpees have you done today? Mpo? Mpo's still done none. It's fine. Some people, burpees are very hard to do. It is not a very nice exercise, I'll be honest with you. But once you get into it, I've been doing burpees for a while now, so once you get into it, it starts feeling quite good. Did 25 already this morning before my coffee. I'll do 60 before breakfast, and that'll flow once again. Yesterday I thought with my 25 and my 60 I'd only have 15 more to do for the day, but then I end up doing more. I end up doing 150. It's all in a good cause. Burpees for conservation. Check it out. Some wonderful videos and packages to follow on. Oh, Kylie, these environments here on the Sabi Sands are perfect leopard habitat. There's lots of water, there's lots of edges, thickets with the open spaces which facilitate the proliferation of the impala. And obviously Dacre and bushbuck like that sort of edge specialist sort of habitat as well. So that together with the amount of spurfowl in Franklin, you can ask Paul and myself, we drove last night around the whole of the Buffelshoek boundary, and I don't think I've ever counted more Franklin or spurfowl in my life. It was actually ridiculous. It was just like ants. Obviously they've bred, and because the season's been so good, they've bred again. So even the guinea fowl have bred again. So the Franklin have probably gone through 3 broods by now, and they might even choose to do a 4th. So there's plenty of food for them, and the habitat is just ideal. And leopard viewing in these areas have been prolific for years, and a lot of it's got to do also with the habituation and the strategies with regards to working with those animals. Yes, sometimes you just have to check yourself. That was Chitwa driveway. This is coming along the eastern side of the dam now. So habitat, everybody. Habitat is what encourages organisms to proliferate. If you've got the right habitat, you have animals moving in. It's like Pridelands being open to the Kruger now. It's always had leopard there. It's got lots and lots of leopard habitat, but they haven't necessarily been tracking and guiding on the ground like a place like this. Although they don't leopards that are semi-relaxed.
Sorry guys, I'm sure we'll get Steve back in no time. He's not very far anyway, so I'm sure we will. Well, we've just taken Gallagher shortcut to the south, but I haven't heard any of the sounds that I was hoping to hear this morning. Those would be trumpets, of the trumpeting of elephant, that is, not the trumpet in a band. And breaking of branches or something like that. But remember, I spoke to you before about the fact that in the wet season, because they're eating lots of grasses and things like that, you don't hear that characteristic cracking of branches and pulling of bark. You don't get to hear that. So it becomes a slightly different, not more difficult, but different to catch wind of whether the elephants are around or not. But we have scoured Djuma today. The only portion we didn't go to was the southwestern portion. But we really have scoured. Well, at least you have Tswalu, at least they have a cheetah, so why don't you go over and have a look there.
Well, folks, we're also sitting and just listening, and there's definitely no sound of breaking branches here. And as you can tell, our 2 boys have definitely not done too much. In fact, I think they've lifted their heads once. It's getting a little bit warmer here now. It's getting a little bit later in the morning. So the chances of them moving too far become less and less, but it is still quite an overcast day. So there's absolutely the possibility of them moving a bit later. But right now I think they've discovered a rather comfy spot here, lying on some indigo ferra, and they've decided that for the foreseeable future, this will be their position. Got one little slightly raised head there, but still a very dozy cat. I think with so few cheetah left, any time we can spend with them is always to be enjoyed and appreciated. As I said earlier, we've got roughly about 7,000 cheetah left in the world, so and the fact that these two boys are doing their best to pass their genetics on is a cause for celebration. So we've just had a question from Bradley, and the question was, who would be the leader between these two brothers? So I think it's a little difficult to say. At different times, they both show dominant behaviors. I've seen both of them fighting, especially when it comes to females, and different individuals winning. So as to who specifically would be the more dominant of them, I'd say it's a little difficult to tell. There's occasions where one shows a bit more dominance, and then there's occasions where the other does. It's a little bit equal, Bradley. Right now, I'd say they are both professional sleepers. So no one's winning that war yet. So we've just had a question from Mikhail, and the question was, do lion and cheetah compete for the same territory? So to answer your question, their territories will overlap. Lions will compete with other lions for territory. Cheetah will do the same, as would leopard. What you will find is they will compete for food. So predators will always fight with other predators because you're competition for food. So it's not so much about territory, because if you think about it, there's only a finite amount of land, and within that, let us say, let's pick a square kilometer, you might have 10 species that are territorial, but because they don't compete with each other for food or for mating, they coexist quite easily. So in the case of lion and cheetah, they compete against each other for food, so they will fight, but not so much for territory. It's like some flies just trying to climb in their ears there and just irritating them slightly. So we've just had a question from Lisa, and the question was, do males and female cheetah vary in size? And that would be 100% affirmative. Your females will generally stop growing at about 55 to 60 kilos in weight, where males will on average go a little higher, up to about 75. I have seen exceptions to this rule where you get quite a large female or quite a large male, but on average you'll see that the males are a good, say, 30 centimeters longer, maybe 10, 15 higher at the shoulder, and on average I'd say 15, maybe 20 kilos heavier. So definitely the males are quite a bit bigger than the females. Amazing to see they've chosen this particular bush. The road is about 60, 70 meters behind us, and driving past you would have absolutely no idea they were here. One has to wonder how many different animals one has driven past on Game Drive and just never seen them because they were a meter or two beyond your vision or behind a bush. So I think we're going to be leaving these two boys to enjoy their mid-morning snooze. We'll be sending you across to Steve, who's on a bumble.
Oh yes, Josh, you drive past things all the time, and this time of year, the grass is very long. Sometimes we even walk into them. Sometimes. Okay, so we're coming back onto Djuma. Chitwa has been very pleasant this morning. Goodness, the sun has just broken through the clouds. Starting to cook. Haven't heard back from Kyle or BK in Tswalu about their progress on the burpee challenge. They were quite keen the other night. And Paul, you messaged BK last night, eh? No response. No response, BK. BK's a cameraman in Tswalu with Kyle. I do believe Kyle told Rebecca he was very keen to get on board. No pressure, Kyle. No pressure, BK. It's only a few burpees. It's really beautiful. I mean, everyone has anyone who's watched the show for a long time seen the Mawati. How's that? Well, are good? Yeah. Has anyone seen the Mawati this wet, this late in the season? It's already March, approaching the end of March, and the river is still semi-flowing. It's just beautiful. It's an area we love to traverse in, and impossible when it's wet like that. Bear in mind, it's alluvial sediment, alluvial soil, so driving in there doesn't cause any damage, and the rain just washes it away again. But driving in there now would result in a very stuck vehicle, which last time Paul worked with me, we got very badly stuck, and I'm not going to be repeating that, are we, Paul? No, we're not. So wonderful to have so much water. It really bodes well for a winter. Moving forward, the watering holes are abundant with life. Vegetation is green. The birds are breeding again. The migrants haven't left yet, although they are preparing, building up their fuel loads. Buffalo building up condition. Impala looking strong. Males eminently preparing for the rut. Changing of the season is the autumn equinox. this weekend. Tomorrow, in fact. I know a whole lot of my friends down in the garden route are celebrating another equinox celebration. Blessings to the earth and to the seasons. Very good time to start preparing one's mindset for spring. Go into a bit of a dormant stage from autumn into winter. And a good time to set some intentions for a few months' time when spring turns the corner. And just watch this space, how in the next 2 months everything just starts to dry out. The leaves start to wither and fall, the grass starts to dry, but for now it's looking mightily fine. Let me know if any of you out there are celebrating an autumn equinox. Any festivities or celebrations partaking in? Well, we're going to carry on moving slowly north. Send you back over the Trish who's on Juma somewhere, taking it really easy.
We are now on Zoe's Road, and we're having a look here at this silver cluster leaf grove. It's really, really beautiful. I'm just going to get to a point where you can see through. It's like a little silver cluster leaf forest. It's a little further down, through there. You'll be able to see that they're so nicely spaced. So we have a look through here. Doesn't it look foresty? I think that it does. So along this road, there's a whole lot of silver cluster leaf, and that's because it indicates that there's a seep line. So there's a drainage to the western side of Western Quarantine, and on the eastern side of of Zoe's, and then on that slope is the seep line, and the seep line is indicated visually by the presence of silver cluster leaves in these groves. Isn't it lovely? Really gorgeous. And what a seep line is, it's in an area where basically it gets waterlogged, so the moisture that's on the ground gets stopped, and that this line, or that's running underground, gets stopped at this line because of different densities, and actually the different polarities of the molecules, and then it seeps out onto the ground. And that's because there'll be a change in soil type. Beautiful. I love silver cluster leaves. They have that beautiful silver sheen to their leaves because they've got tiny, tiny hairs all along the leaves that reflect light to give it that kind of sheen. Those tiny hairs are also useful against pests. As you can imagine, that rough leaf is a little bit less palatable than a nice, smooth, shiny leaf like that of a buffalo thorn. But every tree needs its defenses, and if we're comparing to a buffalo thorn has thorns. Even though the leaves are terribly tasty, I've eaten them myself, they are quite nice. Silver cluster leaves don't have thorns, so they need different types of defenses. And two of those defenses, one would be the little hairs on the leaves to deter predators in their sense, to deter herbivores from over-consuming or overconsumption. And then also they have lots of tannins in their leaves, which can cause digestive issues in herbivores if they eat too much of it. Emily, you also agree with me that it's really beautiful? I think so too. It reminds me of a forest. When we used to have bushwalks, used to walk through them, it was so nice. You'd actually see the difference in the amount of sunlight that comes through, because it really had this beautiful canopy and different layers or levels of trees and different amounts of light coming in, and I used to really, really like that. It's also interesting to note that seems to be a fairly kind of equal distance between the tree growth. Many trees that grow in groves do that, so that each tree has a good amount of space between them, and it can look quite equal. And that makes sense because they're all the similar species, or they're all the same species. And it'll make sense for them to not want to kill each other by them being on top of each other, you know. Emily, you want to know if they grow fruit? They don't grow fruit. They have these pods. In fact, there's some pods up on this tree here. You can see them. They're flattened. And they have these white, very smelly flowers. Not smelly in the good sense. Smelly, kind of like old sweat smelly. Like the way some gyms smell.
Yeah.
That's what the flowers smell like, and this is what is the result afterwards are these pods. And they've only got 2 wings on it, unlike the pods of combretums or bush billows that have 4 wings. See that? They're flattened. When they're a little fresher, they can be a really pretty pinky red. And it looks quite nice against the silvery tinge of the leaves. Really nice little moments here in the silver cluster leaf grove. Well, let me send you over to Yapi. He's still on a bumble.
So, this is quite an interesting situation. That little one there looking at us. He is one of the half-brothers of the white lion. And I'm not sure if it's his sister or his mother next to him. I haven't seen this lion in a very long time. He has been on one of the nearby reserves. And he's actually grown quite a bit. In fact, I haven't seen him in 2 or 3 months. And what's even more interesting is that that these 2 are on their own. Which makes me think that there might be more around. But if you have a look, you can see that he's usually the one out of all of those younger lions that is quite alert, always picks up on everything. But you can see his head starting to dip, his eyes are blinking, and yes, that's what I would expect him to do at this point. It is actually very hot now, and you can see they're very strategically placed in the shade of a magic worry. And what an interesting relationship indeed. Jackson, I'm so happy your morning's made. Believe me when I tell you mine too. Like myself and Gert, we we like to look at lions. And we like to look for lions. And we have been looking for lions all morning. They've been giving us a bit of a run around. And that's one of the things is people always underestimate how far these creatures move at night. If I had to take a guess, I'd say that this guy is going to be quite a force to be reckoned with in about 3 to 4 years' time. Even though he's younger than some of his brothers, I do think that he's already shown a bit of a attitude. Might also be because of his mother. His mother was one of the original lionesses in the pride and also one of the big lionesses. So he's certainly got the genes. For now, it's just a young male lion. Still needs to climb the ranks. If you look at the lioness next to him, you can see the head's down, not too much of a worry. He knows it's that time of the morning to be resting. So I think what we might do is we're going to sit here for a little while longer and see if there's anything going to happen.
Hi, my name is Damon and I'm a guide here at Ambion Pinder Private Game Reserve. Join me and our resident ecologist Craig Sholto Douglas at the fireside on the 21st of March for a discussion on 2 of our conservation projects. In early 2016, Ambion was faced with the fact that without some serious intervention, our rhino population could be in some serious trouble. And so a decision was made to start a rhino dehorning program. Sadly, the fastest mammal on land, the cheetah, is also racing towards extinction. The Ambion Pinder conservation team has been working on a project that aims to increase the genetic integrity of cheetah in protected areas around the country. Sign up to be a Wild Earth Explorer and join us for a lively debate where we'll answer as many of your questions as possible.
It's the month of March and Wild Earth is offering you the chance to win a brand new prize. Sign up to be a Wild Earth Explorer and you could win a 5-day eco-training ranger experience for 2. Eco-training is the pioneer and leader in safari guide and wildlife training in Africa. The lucky winners can look forward to approaching dangerous game on foot, tracking and 4x4 driving, learning about animal behavior, and even spending one night sleeping out under a blanket of stars. In addition, you will also get the exclusive opportunity to join the Wild Earth team on the broadcasting vehicle. Sign up to be an explorer now, and it could be you that wins this life-changing experience. Terms and conditions apply.
My name is Steve, and one of my favorite things at Wild Earth is getting questions from you. The type of questions that I really like are those ones that really help us to unpack and understand and really integrate the ecological knowledge and fully appreciate the importance that animals such as these Cape buffalo bring to the ecosystem. If you want to ask a question on Wild Earth, you're going to have to register on the website. But once registered, just head on over to the live safari page and enter your question under the live feed.
So how amazing is this? I just got a view of her now for the first time properly. You can see those acrobatics trying to get to that itch. But these two are actually, they're the two siblings. That's his direct sister from the same litter, the same mother. And personally, these two are two of my favorite ones, just because I've had the privilege of watching them grow up, and they both have quite a lot of attitude. Their mother is one of the main lionesses in the pride that they come from. And it's amazing to see that the direct siblings stick together. And I've noticed with a couple of others, with the direct siblings, especially with the lionesses denning in the area at the moment, their previous youngsters do split off from the rest of the pride, and they come and they join up with them. Now what's very interesting though is, why would these two be on their own? I haven't seen their mother in a long time. And also, I don't know if she's mated again. She's quite old, and from my experience, I would have thought that she'd be done mating, or that these two would be her last litter, but I guess that remains to be seen. Lisa, these two will not always stay together. At this stage, I'm sure their bond is quite strong. But unfortunately for him, he's going to have to move on. She'll stay behind. She'll probably stay with her mother or her natal group she was born in. Which means that she'll be a lioness in and around Ngala. Him, or he, on the other hand, he will have to go venture off and find his own path, which I'm pretty sure will be a majestic one. Luckily for him, he's got 3 other half-brothers. And I think they will definitely be a force to be reckoned with at some point. No, I can see there's some grooming going on. I think it might just be a preparation for a local movement. You can see he's put his head down, and I think it's come to that time of the morning where the sun's warming up the place properly. A good shake there, get rid of some flies. A near watering hole is strategically placed. And unless there's a serious drive today, which might be to find the rest of the pride, I do think that these two will be in and around this area for at least up until the afternoon. So, thank you to all our viewers for joining us this morning. And I think if you can join us this afternoon, jump aboard and see what we might find.